The movie begins with three men hunting in the woods. One of them, Dale, separates from his friends in search of his prey. Shortly after, Dale finds it and gets ready to shoot with his rifle. But suddenly, a bald man appears and pushes Dale off a cliff, killing him instantly. The bald man is Ryan Verrett, a former cop on a mission of revenge after the brutal murder of his family a few years ago. Dale was one of the murderers. After killing Dale, Ryan drives toward a small town called Hope. However, Hope is no ordinary town. It's controlled by a violent biker gang that even intimidates the sheriff. Ryan knew this, but he didn't care. He went to the town anyway. Upon arrival, he enters a gas station to buy some supplies and asks about a place to stay. The owner, named Kirby, points him to the only motel in town. It turns out the motel, run by a young woman named Darcy, is empty, since almost no outsiders ever visit Hope. Darcy herself doesn't understand why Ryan chose to come to Hope, considering the town is known for being very dangerous. But Ryan simply replies that he's there on some business. Meanwhile, an FBI special agent named Frank is planning with his team to capture Dale, who, in addition to being a murderer, is also a rapist. While they're discussing the case, another agent enters the room and reports that Dale has been found dead. The scene then shifts to a flashback of when Ryan was still a cop. He was celebrating a party with his family and friends when suddenly a group of criminals stormed in and began shooting everyone, including Ryan and his family. The leader of the attackers, Drake Santiago, committed the crime out of hatred toward the cops who had imprisoned him in the past. Drake was determined to get revenge by killing those cops and their families, and Ryan was one of his targets. Miraculously, though Ryan was shot, he managed to survive. In the present, Ryan is seen driving through town when he comes across motorcycles parked in front of a building. Moments later, a member of the biker gang walks out of the building, and when a dog keeps barking at him, he becomes agitated. He pulls out his gun, intending to silence the dog. Fortunately, before he can shoot, Ryan intervenes and teaches him a lesson by beating him up. The noise from the fight catches the attention of the gang members inside, who quickly come outside to see what's going on. The gang leader is there too, and it turns out to be none other than Drake. However, Drake seems to have forgotten Ryan's face, which makes sense considering how many people he's killed. Despite the fact that Ryan attacked one of his men, Drake decides to let him go, since he doesn't have time to deal with him due to urgent matters. Still, Drake doesn't trust Ryan, so he orders his younger brother, Rixo, to keep an eye on him. The next day, Rixo meets with Drake to report that a club owner refused to pay their protection fee. Enraged, Drake challenges the club owner to a one-round boxing match. If the man wins, Drake promises never to ask for the fee again. Even though Drake is getting old, he's still strong and easily defeats the man. In a surprisingly forgiving gesture, Drake lets him go. After all, he still needs the money, and if the man dies, he won't be able to pay anymore. But extortion isn't the only way Drake and his gang make money. They also sell meth and have a lab to produce it. Rixo is in charge of supervising the lab. In fact, Rixo has many responsibilities in the gang. Besides overseeing the meth lab, he's also tasked with keeping an eye on Ryan. That night, Rixo goes to Darcy's motel to ask if a big bald man named Ryan is staying there. She politely refuses to answer his question, which leads Rixo to threaten her. He tells her he'll send her to hell if she doesn't reveal Ryan's whereabouts, delivering the threat with a terrifying expression on his face. Ryan, who is at the motel, hears the threat and stops Rixo in the way he knows best, with violence. As Ryan beats and tosses Rixo around, Darcy warns him that the man he's attacking is Drake's younger brother, and that Drake will retaliate if he finds out his brother is being tortured. But Ryan doesn't care. Instead, he drags Rixo to the front of the gang's lab and ties him to a car. Then, he lets the car roll and crash into the lab, causing an explosion. Rixo dies in the explosion, the lab is destroyed, and Ryan leaves, satisfied. It doesn't take long for Drake and his gang to notice the blast. They rush to the lab, but all they can do is watch the flames rise, except for Drake, who is furious upon learning that his beloved brother is dead. Shortly after, the sheriff and one of his deputies arrive to investigate. Drake and the others are still at the scene. When Drake sees the sheriff, he walks over and threatens him. He tells him that if he dares to interfere, he'll wipe his family off the face of the earth. The sheriff doesn't have the courage to challenge Drake's words. He thinks that letting the gang do whatever they want is the only way to avoid more bloodshed in the town. The next day, Ryan is back in action, targeting a gang truck that's transporting meth to another city. He follows the convoy quietly and punctures the truck's tire, forcing the driver to get out. When the driver steps out, Ryan ambushes him and slams his head against the car door. Then he blows up the truck. The destruction of the truck doesn't go unnoticed by a gang member who reports it to Drake. The latter is furious, since the truck was loaded with meth. He's lost a lot of money because some lunatic destroyed it. Drake wants to find whoever is responsible and bring him in. Though he already suspects Ryan, Drake wants confirmation. He orders his men to bring Kirby to their base. Then he asks Kirby to help investigate Ryan and find out who he really is. If it turns out that Ryan is guilty, Drake won't hesitate to kill him. Out of fear, Kirby has no choice but to comply. That same day, Kirby starts investigating Ryan. He checks Ryan's car, which is parked near the motel, hoping to find some information. But while he's snooping around the vehicle, Ryan comes out of the motel and catches him, forcing him to stop. With an awkward smile, Kirby invites Ryan over for a drink at his house, which isn't far from the motel, but Ryan isn't stupid. When they arrive at Kirby's house, Ryan asks him why he was looking through his car. Kirby admits that Drake ordered him to investigate. Just as Kirby finishes talking, they hear the sound of a motorcycle stopping in front of the house. It's one of Drake's men, Crab, who has come to challenge Ryan. Their fight is brief. Ryan defeats him but lets him go. Meanwhile, Drake continues investigating Ryan, meeting with the sheriff. During their conversation, Drake learns that Ryan is a former cop who quit after his family was murdered. Drake thanks the sheriff for the information and gives him some money. That same night, Drake and his men head to Kirby's house while he's asleep. Drake is disappointed by Kirby's failure, even in something as simple as gathering information about a bald man. As punishment for his incompetence, Drake orders Crab to kill Kirby. Ryan learns of Kirby's death the next morning. Ryan knows that Drake's gang is responsible for the murder. Who else could commit such an atrocity? Without wasting time, Ryan heads to one of Drake's clubs where he defeats all the enemy men. Then he kidnaps Crab and stuffs him in the trunk of his car. Later, he kills him and leaves his body in front of the gang's headquarters. Drake is furious when he sees the corpse of his favorite man. He immediately orders all remaining members to gather and arm themselves. They are going to hunt Ryan. That same night at the motel, Darcy hears suspicious noises outside. She gets up from the sofa, grabs her shotgun, and prepares to shoot whoever enters. However, Ryan, having already sensed that it's their enemies, tells Darcy to take cover behind the counter. Moments later, the front door opens slowly and Drake's men come in. Ryan deliberately waits until they're close. When he feels they're within reach, he tells Darcy to turn off the lights. The room goes completely dark for several seconds with gunshots echoing. When Darcy turns the lights back on, she finds all the gang members dead. Incredibly, Ryan is completely unharmed. However, he realizes the place is no longer safe, so he decides to take Darcy with him. Unfortunately, he doesn't realize their enemies are waiting around the motel. They ambush him and beat him until he loses consciousness. When Ryan wakes up, the first thing he sees is Drake's face. Both he and Darcy have been taken to the gang's headquarters, and Ryan is tied to a chair, unable to move. Drake tells him he's going to kill them both, but before that, he'll enjoy Darcy's body. After those words, he orders one of his men to torture Ryan while he heads to the back. The torture begins, and the man beats Ryan brutally, taking pleasure in his suffering. But suddenly, Ryan manages to untie himself, allowing him to knock out the torturer. With the man unconscious, Ryan begins searching for Darcy. He checks every corner of the place, which turns out to be a ship, but instead of Darcy, he finds Drake's men. They surround him and try to beat him with fancy moves, but Ryan is simply too strong. After searching the ship, Ryan finally finds Darcy. Unlike him, she is still tied up, her mouth taped shut. Ryan unties her and the two begin looking for a way off the ship. But of course, Drake won't let Ryan escape so easily. Ryan realizes the moment for the final showdown has come, so he asks Darcy to leave while he confronts Drake. Before the fight begins, Drake tells Ryan he now remembers him. He was the former cop whose family he killed before taking control of Hope. All this time, he had thought Ryan was dead. After this revelation, the final duel begins. They exchange blows, but Ryan's attacks are stronger and he manages to knock Drake down. However, just when Ryan thinks he has won, Drake gets up, grabs a knife, and tries to stab him in the back. Fortunately, FBI agent Frank arrives just in time and shoots Drake, killing him before he can attack Ryan. At that moment, the FBI has arrived in hope to wipe out Drake's gang, which had been oppressing the town's residents. Frank decides not to arrest Ryan, feeling that the police still need someone like him. So Ryan leaves the town, promising that he and Frank will meet again someday. At the end of the movie, Ryan is seen raiding a place and shooting a group of people inside. It turns out that some of Drake's friends are still alive, people who had taken part in the murder of Ryan's family. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell so you never miss a recap. See you in the next one.